All right, welcome back. We are now getting into the next measure of central tendency, which is the median. So we just got done doing the mean, so the median is the next one. So this value divides the set of values into groups with half above and half below the median. So it's the middle. That's usually the way people remember it. Median is the middle. What's in the middle of your data set? So if we're finding the median of a group of values, we should do the following. Number one, arrange the values in numerical order. They have to be in numerical order first. Don't start looking for the middle if they're not in order. Number two, once they're in order, if the number of values is odd, then the median is the middle value in the list. So if there's an odd number, you should be able to work your way in from both sides, and eventually you'll settle on one number right smack dab in the middle. But when it's even, then the median is the mean of the two middle values. So again, you're working your way in from both sides, and eventually you'll settle on two numbers in the middle. And so if you got to take those two numbers and average those together, and that will be your median. So let's take a look. In this case here, we would first put them in order, and they are. So ding ding. Now we got 5 numbers, and so we want to work our way in from both sides. So we can see that 12 is that middle number. And now we are done. So the median is 12. Boom. All right, let's look at our next set. So now we can see these ones are not in order. So let's put them in order first. So we got 3.1. Next, looks like a 3.8. And then we got a couple of 4.5s. Next, we got a couple of 6.2s. And a 6.3. And last but not least is a 7.1. So now we have them in numerical order, so that's good. Let's count them up. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers in our data set. So we want to work our way in. And so our two middle numbers, hopefully you can agree, should be the 4.5 and the 6.2. So we want to average those two numbers together. Now be careful using your calculator for this. It's very easy to make a mistake. If you tried to type this all in one line and said 4.5 plus 6.2 divided by 2, your calculator is going to do it wrong. And the reason why is because your calculator is following the order of operations. If you don't tell it to add first, it's not going to. It's going to divide first. So you want to be careful with that. If you want it to add those numbers, you can do it in 2 separate steps. Add the numbers, equals, get that result, and then divide that answer by 2. That's the safest way to do it. Otherwise, you can use parentheses. If you use parentheses around the 4.5 plus 6.2, and then you can type it all on one line. But if you're not sure, just do it in 2 separate steps. So 5.35 should be your median in that case. Again, that's the halfway point in between those two. So half the numbers are below it and half the numbers are above it. And that's what you want. And again, as far as decimal places, it follows the same rule as it did for the mean. So we want to have at least 1 extra decimal place than our data, if necessary. So in this case, we do need both places. So don't round that to 5.4. All right. Let's take a look at a different type of median problem. So how about for a frequency distribution? We first need to find the position of the median. Where are we looking in our table? To do this, we can use the following formula. So the position of the median is equal to n plus 1 over 2, which is the same as saying the sum of the frequencies plus 1 all over 2. So now don't be confused because our frequency distribution looks weird. It's just turned horizontally instead of vertically, but it's still the same idea. We have our values, and we have our frequencies. So we should still be able to find our median. Now the nice thing about this is that our values are in numerical order, so that's good. We like that. But our frequencies, well, we have to take care of that. So the first thing though is to find the position. So in this case, if we add all these up, so 1 plus 3 is 4, plus 2 is 6, plus 4 is 10, plus another 10 is 20. So there's 20 numbers in our data set. So our formula says to take n plus 1 divided by 2. So 20 plus 1 all over 2. So we get 21 over 2, which is 10.5. So what does that tell us? Well, we still have the overarching rules for median. So if it's odd, there's a single number we're looking at, and if it's even, we're looking at two numbers. This is an even case. So we should be looking at two numbers, but this 10.5 is weird, right? Well, not really if you think of it this way. 10.5 is in the middle between which two positions? 10.5 is the middle between the 10th and the 11th. So now we have to go back to our table and count to that 10th and 11th number. So let's start with the small end. So we got 1 plus the 3 gets us to the 4th position. So the 4th number is a 2. The next two numbers after that are 3s. So that's going to get us to the 6th number. And then the next numbers after that, the next 4 numbers after that, which gets us to the 10th, are 4s. So the 10th number is a 4. But now, once you go to the 11th number, that bumps us into the 5s. So 5 is the 11th number. So now we have to average those two. And I think you can probably do that without showing a lot of work, but the median should be equal to 4 plus 5 over 2, which is 4.5. So 4.5 would be the median in this case. So it's a little funky how that position formula works, but it does help point you in the right direction. Where do I look in my table? So let's do it one more time. So we have our values in numerical order, so that's good. We don't care about the frequencies being in numerical order, that's fine. But we got to count them all up. So we got 5 and 8 is 13, 13 and 10 is 23, 23 and 12 is 35. So there's 35 numbers in this data set. Odd number. There's one number we should be looking at. Let's see what our position formula tells us. So we want to take our 35 plus 1 all over 2. So 36 over 2, which is 18. Now we have a specific number we're looking at. We're looking at the 18th number in the list, in our table. So we got to go back and count. So the first 5 numbers are all 2s. The next 8 numbers after that are all 4s. So that gets us up to the 13th. The next 10 are all 6s. So from the 13th to the 23rd number are all 6s. So that means the 18th one has to be a 6. So the 6 is our median. A little trickier with these frequency distribution problems, but again, it's very systematic in how you should break it down. Start with the position. Where am I looking in my table? Am I looking for one number or am I looking for 2? Those are the questions you have to ask before you actually grab that number and put it in there. Don't just look at the values and say, oh, 6 is the middle. That's the answer. It really depends on those frequencies. Those will throw it off if you're not careful, so be careful. All right, that will wrap up this video. We'll tackle the next measure of central tendency in the next one. See you soon.